Last week, yourself and the Prime Minister announced a $2.3 billion subsidy, taxpayer-funded subsidy for Canadians to purchase electric vehicles. As you know, the subsidy is available to American-made electric cars, which personally we found quite shocking given what the Americans are trying to do to our auto sector. You're well aware 5,000 jobs have been lost, countless others. Can you explain the rationale of allowing taxpayer-funded subsidies up to $2.3 billion to go towards the purchase of American-made electric vehicles?
So a couple of things. I think on the auto strategy, the objectives are clear. There are two of them. First is to support auto production in Canada, which I think we all agree here. And the second is really to make sure that we help the industry to get to a place where the rest of the industry in the world is, which is basically electrification. Because we know by 2039, 40% of all the cars sold in the world will be EVs. And while the Americans are taking their own decisions, we will be at the forefront of this industry and we won't just stay idle. So to your point, I was really, I wanted to make sure that we're supporting auto production
Minister,
in Canada.
if I may step in, again, the point is that you created a subsidy program, a very generous one, $2.3 billion. It's a significant taxpayer investment for electric vehicles. Why did you not disallow the American vehicle market to have access to that? It is odd to me that given what they're doing to our auto sector market, that our tax dollars, everyone at this table and the auto sector workers who've lost their job, those taxpayer dollars can go towards subsidizing the American market. So you mentioned we should be helping all auto sectors. I don't agree that we should be helping the American auto sector. I'm not sure why you do.
So first and foremost, everybody, the industry, Premier Ford, unions, consumer groups are all in favor of the strategy. Why? Because they get the fact that actually we're supporting those who invest in us. Because what is important in your question, and which the Conservatives have unfortunately not alluded to, is the fact we have countermeasures on counter tariffs on US-made vehicles.
And we appreciate
but
that.
the reality is,
I appreciate that,
I'm
Minister.
sorry, I just want to make sure that I finish. I just want to finish my
20 seconds, and then Madame Dancho, I've
no
paused
problem.
it for the
Thank you.
duration of
So we have countermeasures. And when the American automakers reduce their production in Canada, well, we reduce their market access. We just did that with Stellantis. 50% of the cars they used to send to Canada now are if they're sent, they have tariffs. And same for GM, which is at 24.2% less of market access. So when you look at it, the incentives are linked to the fact that it is to support domestic production in Canada.
Okay, thanks, Minister.
And there is one, possibly two vehicles that are manufactured in Canada that are eligible for this subsidy. The last time your government brought forward a similar EV subsidy, 99% of it went to foreign auto sectors to buy their electric vehicles. So we can assume a similar situation will happen with this EV subsidy you've announced today. Again, I'm not quite sure why you would design a program where Canadian taxpayer dollars could go towards the benefit of the American auto sector. Again, can you explain why that's ethical in the situation that we're in today with the job losses, which is their explicit goal in the Trump administration?
Well, I think obviously the U.S. tariffs are creating this, and unfortunately I think the Conservatives have been long to denounce the tariffs against the auto sector. You even have a colleague from North Oshawa North, that went and freelanced in last week, and until he was reminded that he was representing GM and GM auto workers were being impacted by the tariffs, he was saying nothing about it. But that being said, if we put that apart, I think what is important is we are all about affordability. We want to make sure that people will have access to cheap EVs, that they can basically embrace electrification, and that we can have more
EVs,
auto production in Canada that are EVs, but also that people can
there aren't a lot of
have
options
access
to buy
cheaper
Canadian-made
EVs, which
EVs,
is what Canadians are looking for.
And so that leaves very little option for Canadians. There are a number of options in the U.S. that are within the subsidy rules as you've established them. So again, I think we're quite shocked that you've created a program where Canadian taxpayer dollars will benefit the American auto sector. It's quite simple. Do you agree that that is ethical, given what they're doing to our auto sector?
Well, because the reality is we have auto manufacturers from the U.S. here in Canada. We have GM in Oshawa. We do. We have also Stellantis in Windsor. We also have Ford in Oakville. So we want to make sure that we keep their footprint, unless the Conservatives are against the footprint of these jobs, which are around 10,000 jobs.
Just vous deux, just one moment, please.
Both of you, please. I have a number of MPs who are telling me there's a problem with the interpretation because two people are speaking at once.
Madame Dancho, when I have found the minister's answer to go a little bit longer, I've got 1 minute 40 remaining. So as I mentioned at the outset, this is about fairness. We want quality answers. Minister, I'll afford you about 20 seconds to respond to that, Madame Dancho. I'll then go back to you. And again, if I see there's a lack of equality, I'll pause the clock in order to afford you that time that remains. Minister, if you want to take about 20 seconds.
Yeah, and I think her colleague, Mrs. Borelli from Windsor, would agree that the jobs also at Stellantis are important now that there's 3 shifts. So we need to make sure that we support auto workers here in Canada, including those working for U.S. companies. But at the same time, we need to make sure that GM and Stellantis would have reduced their auto production in Canada are on the hook. We're going after the money, and we're reducing their market access. This is what we're doing, Mr. President.
But again, you seem to be placing this as this is some sort of negotiating strategy. Again, this is a subsidy that's available to cars exclusively made in the United States.
In Canada.
If they're made in the United States, they're eligible for this subsidy. So that's not employing any Canadians if you're buying an American-made electric vehicle. It just seems very unethical to us that you would design a program. It'd be quite simple to say American vehicles are not eligible for this, given what they're doing to our auto sector. And I'm not quite sure why you're not taking that position. Perhaps you can elaborate.
Yes. So when we say we reduce their market access, we mean that they will be imposed tariffs. And when they will be imposed tariffs, of course, it will be higher than the $50,000 cap for vehicles. So when you say that we're actually subsidizing, no. The reality is we're supporting cars that will be
not correct,
lower than
Minister.
$50,000.
But that's not
and
correct.
obviously this will have an impact on vehicles coming from the U.S. that are linked to automakers reducing their footprint.
Okay. There's 20 seconds left, Madame Dancho. Make it concise, please. Minister, make your response concise, please, and then we will move on to the next
So
question.
you're going to give me 20 seconds?
I'm giving you 20 seconds, yeah.
Again, this subsidy is accessible to American-made electric vehicles. We feel that that's deeply unethical, given what the American administration is doing. I'm not satisfied with your answers, so I'm going to move the following motion, Mr. Chair. That pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the committee undertake a study of no less than 4 meetings on the federal government's electric vehicle policies, including in relation to Chinese EVs, that the committee invite the Minister of Industry to testify for no less than 2 hours alone in relation to the study, and that the committee invite other witnesses selected by each party to testify in relation to the study, that this study take precedent over all other business, and that the committee report its findings and recommendations to the House. And now, Mr. Chair, there's been communications with other parties. So I know with some tweaks, I think we can get to a good motion here that we could pass, but I don't want to take away a lot of questioning time from everyone. So if you agree, Mr. Chair, we will allow this to be paused, to resume at the end of the minister's time today, where we resume this discussion in public.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Madame Dancho. So, colleagues, 2 things real quick. The first is this is the identical motion Madame Dancho put on notice on Friday, so no problems in terms of admissibility here. Appreciate the fact that we have the minister and her officials here. We should be taking advantage of that time. So I'm going to look for a quick glance around the room to ensure that you'll allow me to bypass the standing order here to just commit that we will get to this when the minister leaves, and honor that commitment so that we can continue. Pardon me?